Tigers win, Tigers win, Tigers win. I'm your host of Woodward Tigers, Nicholas Koloff, beat reporter for the network with the one, the only, Matt Broder. Matt, how are we doing today?
Fantastic. It's a beautiful day out.
Yep.
This will be sometime on 4th of July weekend. This is going to be going out, and I don't know, Nick, one of the first things I learned in my full-time sales job, like in the sales world, was don't lead with the weather. But it's not only beautiful out. The Tigers have been dealing with the elements for the last 3 weeks. We finally got some baseball today. Game 1 before we're recording. Game 1 against the Washington Nationals.
Especially, talk about 4th of July. You got the Tigers playing in D.C. And just putting a little belt to you-know-what here. That is what the Tigers did in Game 1 of this one, 11-2. And you got to shout out, speaking of that number 2, Riley Green, superstar Riley Green. 2 home runs in this one, 6 RBIs. Jake Rogers hits his first home run of the season. Good to see Raj get in on the action. Mr. Mustache Man himself.
A 3-run home run?
3-run shot. And then you got to see Spencer Torkelson join in on the fun. It's big for Torque. Second home run in a week. So good for Torkelson to get back on track as well. Yeah, this was a great performance from, the hitting. And then one guy I want to shout out just before we dive into the packed show that we have. We're going to talk about Riley Green. We're going to talk about a number 2 starter on this team. Is it on the team currently?
What a tease.
Is it a possible interdivision trade? Lot to get into, but yeah, Riley Green in this one, superstar. But before we dive into that, Dylan Smith got the win in this one, 1.38 ERA now. Dylan Smith looked good. He helped eat innings in this game where we didn't have to go into the high leverage guys. You didn't have to waste them. Tyler Holton looks like he's back. Get into that a little bit later, but yeah,
Brandon Herter looked good.
Way better than he's looked recently.
Yeah, correct. Those are huge arms. We talk about a game like today where you got to get to game 2. You got to get to Flaherty through this bullpen day. The bullpen pitchers who threw, they did their job. They ate up innings. They walked away with the dub.
Big W, that is. And I expect Jack Flaherty, which we'll dive into in a little bit, to do some things tonight. But before we get to Jack, I mean, it's the story of the day. It's Riley Green. And he now has 69 RBIs on the season before the All-Star break, Broder, and 21 bombs. 21 Riley Green uppercut KO nukes.
Wow.
Riley Green is on an absolute tear, and I said this before the season started, and I got laughed at when I said he could be a top 5 AL MVP candidate. I got laughed at. I got roasted. I've had faith in Riley Green. He's improved every season in the majors, and he is still on that track currently, especially after a 2-home run, 6 RBI performance. Are the strikeouts there? Yes. Am I concerned about the strikeouts? No. As long as he's doing damage to the baseball and being a top, wherever you want to place him, top 5, top 10 hitter in baseball currently.
Wow.
As long as he's doing that, I'm not worried about the strikeouts at all. Where does Riley Green stack up to you currently? We talked about him being a superstar. You said I'm not ready yet. But after he gets announced for his second AL starting spot tonight, for his second All-Star appearance, sorry about that, do you think he's on that superstar track still, or has he entered the chat of being a superstar?
He's headed that direction. I'm still not ready to give him that crown, but I need to stop doubting that he could get there. Every time I do, he seems to do something special. You're right. We don't have to worry about the strikeouts because when he's making contact, he's hitting it out of the park and he's driving runners in. And when you have guys like Gleyber Torres batting in front of him, that's what you need out of Riley Green. It's also why you should be excited about the future of this kid because he's doing this while still striking out at probably too high of a rate that we would like. But again, right now, who cares? That's where our power's coming from. Riley Green he's working his way into the conversation of one of the best outfielders in the American League, maybe one of the best outfielders in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I think that he has firmly entered the discussion. Obviously, it's Judge and then a gap, I believe.
A big gap.
A big gap. But then you talk about who is still ahead of Riley Green, I would say right now. I don't want to get carried away after the amazing performance. But I think you're looking at Judge, Soto, Acuna, Kyle Tucker, and then there's like Riley Green.
Yeah.
That is where you're getting to. You are getting to on track in discussions with superstars who make not 100 million. We're talking 200, 300, 600 of Soto. Aaron Judge status. Like Riley Green is on pace and on track to put up the same kind of numbers that these 100 and 200 and multi-$100 million players are putting up.
Yeah.
That is what we're talking about with Riley Green. And the track that he's on makes me a lot more comfortable when we get into those matchups with a New York Yankees in the ALCS, with a Houston Astros, and you're going up against a Hunter Brown who's been pitching dominant, lights out. And we've talked about bringing in some big-time hitters. I think
you need to.
You can't bring in anybody that's as good as Riley Green.
Right. That's why this is such a great moment for him to start hitting his stride, because it is a couple weeks before the trade deadline. We mentioned a couple of those relievers who had good days today, like a Dylan Smith, Brent Herter.
Yep.
This is all an audition in front of Scott Harris and AJ Hinch of how aggressive are they going to be going after bullpen arms. With Riley Green, I know he's not a third baseman, but if you can get your power from him at the contract he's on, I'd rather have him right now than Juan Soto. I'm not going to say Juan Soto can't still be a generational talent, but we're talking $600 million.
Yep.
And Riley Green, I don't even know what he's making. It's single-digit millions.
Yeah.
So what he's doing is it's an asset for the Tigers at the trade deadline. You might not have to go get a big right-handed bat.
Yeah, that's where I'm at about the right-handed bat. It's one guy popped up today, and we talk about value. We talk about contracts. This contract got, looked passed, and it got looked past by a guy that talks about baseball that's covering them right now for the network, me. And his name's Zach McKinstry.
Yeah.
He is on fire right now, over 810 OPS. Average keeps getting closer to 300. He is doing everything for this baseball team. You talk about over 20 extra base hits. He's stealing bases. He's making the first to third look, tremendously easy. And Zach McKinstry is giving me more and more confidence that this team might not need to go get an Alex Bregman.
Yeah.
Would it be nice? Yes. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I wouldn't take Alex Bregman on this team.
Right.
I'm saying priority number one for this Detroit Tigers team moving forward might not be that power bat that I've wanted all season long, because the more I see Zach McKinstry, the more I am starting to buy in that he can do this throughout this season and into the playoffs.
Am I hearing a little flip? And I'm not a jab at you, but like a couple of weeks ago, it was, I want a right-handed bat. I want Eugenio Suarez.
Yes.
Are you flipping a little bit?
I am flipping when it comes to trading assets to bring in a player. I am flipping that number one priority from being a third baseman that hits righty to an arm. And we'll get to that arm in a second. But before we do, where are you at with Zach McKinstry in terms of entering the playoffs down the line? And are you comfortable with him as your third baseman right now?
I am. And it feels so dirty to say that after how I thought of him this offseason. I wasn't expecting him to do anything.
No, me neither.
In fact, I don't know if I said it live on air anywhere, but I wasn't sure he was going to make the team. I wasn't sure I wanted him to make the team.
Yeah.
He hasn't really done anything.
Yeah.
But you could argue if Riley Green hasn't had, this turnaround since his slow start, Zach McKinstry's right up there with MVP of this team on offense, not Tarek Skubal. He's right up there with what he can do for AJ Hinch, being as versatile as he is in the field, playing outfield, shortstop, third base. Whatever you need him to do, he'll do it for you. I'm more than comfortable going to war with a Zach McKinstry type of player.
Yeah,
more than comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. It's just every single game he's doing something to help this team win, and at some point, you got to think it's not a fluke. And if Bregman is getting sold at a low cost, I'm still buying. That's not what I'm saying. If Eugenio Suarez gets sold at the deadline and Scott Harris wants to make the move for him, I'm not going to be complaining at all, because then you can put McKinstry just in better spots to be successful when you do put him in, like right field where you want it, left field where you want it, third base, shortstop. Yeah, exactly.
You bring Bregman or Suarez, Trey Sweeney goes back down to the minors, which is okay.
Yep.
Which is okay because you have McKinstry, because you can trust Javi Baez now, which last I heard, he's a starting outfielder in the All-Star game at this moment.
At this moment today. Hopefully tonight they announce it, which they should. I believe Gleyber Torres is going to be the starting second baseman. I believe Riley Green's going to be the starting left fielder, as he should. Yeah, I think that'd be great if they still did want to make that move. I'm just saying my priority right now, and this might be a little recency bias because I just saw the last few outings out of Tyler Holton look pretty damn good and look like he did look the last 2 seasons for the Tigers. I am switching my number 1 priority for the Detroit Tigers to starting pitcher.
Oh, to starting pitching.
Oh.
See, that's still my priority number 2. But so I don't hate you for saying that.
Yeah.
But starting pitching. Talk to me about that.
So let me set you up for a second here, because you say it's priority number 2. So you must be pretty confident in one of these pitchers to be your number 2 in a playoff format to go up, against the Astros or the Yankees, wherever that may be. I'm going to take a big swing here and say that pitcher is probably not Jack Flaherty with his 4.80 ERA currently.
You're right. And less about it not being Jack Flaherty, more about it being Casey Mize.
I like it.
Because Casey Mize has been pitching fantastic.
Yep.
His last couple outings, he's looked like that number 2. You look at the stats of Skubal and Mize for this year, that's a pretty dominant top of the rotation. Now imagine if Flaherty can figure it out. If Flaherty shows us, if he gets back to what Jack Flaherty we know he can do at his best, he's still that number 2, even ahead of Casey Mize.
Yep.
That's a pretty terrifying top 3 of your rotation.
Exactly.
Reese Olson's coming back. Sawyer Gibson-Long just hit the IL.
Yep.
Question mark. I really liked what he was doing.
Yeah, neck injury issue. That scares me.
That is
tough break for Sawyer.
Yes. You never like to hear those neck injuries when you're a thrower, when you're using your extremities.
Yep.
But to me, I'm comfortable going to war with Tarek Skubal, Casey Mize, Jack Flaherty. But I'm not going to say no if they decide to surprise me and go at a true number 1B or 2.
Yeah, 1B or 2. So that's where I'm at right now. And I don't even know how big of an upgrade this guy would be, but he's just done it for so much longer where he's more consistent right now. And to me, I'm right there with you on Casey Mize. I do believe Casey Mize this seems number 2 if they do not make an upgrade. I love what I'm seeing out of his 2.86 ERA. I'm taking that into a series every single time as super comfortable as my number 2.
Yeah.
I do feel confident in that. One thing that shout out Easy, he pointed out yesterday on the show. Casey Mize, when he's pitched this year, he's gone up against not the best baseball teams out there. Just to name a few for you right now, I'll go with Baltimore, Colorado, at Kansas City, at Chicago, Baltimore again, Pittsburgh, Minnesota.
Yeah.
So it's not some world beaters.
Not some world beaters.
But that's not his fault.
Tigers win 2 out of 3 games. They win series. And whether it's the Rockies or the Pirates, like, you lose baseball games. And he has not.
Yeah.
And his stuff has been better. Like, it's less about his record, which is phenomenal. 8-2.
Yep.
But his velocity is up a little bit on his fastball. He's getting more whiffs. He's getting more swings and misses. He's living in that zone a lot more than he used to be. He's able to go into the 6th and 7th inning on occasion. It's those things that I look for, especially when you get to the postseason where you want 5 really strong innings out of him. 6 if it's great. But why I prioritize a relief pitcher, I want those games to be shorter. I want to only need him for 5 or 6, and then you go to a bullpen that door closed.
Yeah, I think I'm at number 2 for the reliever
fair.
Right now. Well, God,
it's
nitpicking right now for this team because they're the best team in baseball.
Right.
It really is. It's hard sometimes to try to pick apart this team. I don't like doing it in the first place, but in the second place, like, it's hard to. That's like,
and we're talking about this aiming at a World Series title, not last year
July.
where it's like it's July and they're 12 and a half games above. In the last, I heard this stat, in the last 163 games, which including this win against the Nationals, you know what the Tigers' record is in the last 163 games, which is one more than a normal regular season? It's 101-62.
Elite.
That's ridiculous. 39 games over 500. Whatever AJ Hinch is doing, whatever they're drinking or eating pregame, like hydration wise, whatever they drink postgame, that's another story.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm eyeing in. We're talking about a trade deadline as what pieces can they add to go win a freaking World Series. I almost said Super Bowl.
Oh my God.
I'm
they
in
can
Lions
win the Super
mode.
Bowl too, the way they're playing.
We'll take all the championships, and we'll take a WNBA championship in 2028.
Yeah.
Sophie Cunningham.
Yeah,
Anyways,
exactly. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Tigers.
we'll be partying down Woodward for the next 2 seasons, Sophie.
Enjoy Indiana.
Yeah, exactly. Hope the Fever's doing great for you. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that. But before we get off track, too bad. The Detroit Tigers, reliever, starter, third base bat. I think you're right with the reliever. I do like the way that you put that. You want to shorten the game. I just don't know what Scott Harris is thinking. That's the thing right now. I think he is on the same.
There? Like, do you have your eye on anybody or heard any rumors?
I truly, when it comes to a reliever, I still am at the point where I want to see the Tigers maybe go after Aroldis Chapman.
I would love it. Love it.
2-time World Series winner, big lefty, fireball, got the slider. 3-7 in the last 10 games. The Boston Red Sox are. They're 6 games back in their division. I believe if the Red Sox keep losing, you could still see those trades. But when it comes to a starter, there's a name that's been flown out there a lot, and this team has been horrible, 2-8 in the last 10, and they're actually an in-division team, and it is the Kansas City Royals, and they're talking about trading starting pitcher Seth Lugo, who has a career 3.32 ERA.
He's good.
And this season, he's coming in with a 2.74 ERA, 88.2 innings, 76 Ks. He's a veteran. He knows what he's doing. He's not going to beat you with 100 up top. I promise you that. He's a crafty big righty, but I think Seth Lugo, who came in second in the AL Cy Young last season to Tarek Skubal, could potentially be a big upgrade if you're not comfortable with Casey Mize and if Jack Flaherty doesn't show you enough to get to that 2 spot, because I don't know if I can rely on Reese Olson right now with the ability and his injury history. It's not his ability, excuse me if I misspoke on that. It's his injury history. If it's all about his ability, I trust Reese Olson. If that changeup's working, I trust him to be sub 3.3 ERA every time out.
Nasty.
So, but Seth Lugo, Kansas City Royals, he's been in talks with the Mets, or the Mets have been linked to him, the Yankees have been linked to him, the Chicago Cubs have been linked to him, the LA Dodgers have been linked to him.
Of course.
4 of the big teams that you're going to be competing with for a World Series. Is this a little crazy to think that they would ever do this in division? And do you think it's a little overblown, the need for a starting pitcher?
If he was available and he didn't cost too much, I'd say, hell yeah, go get him. Because he's got another year on his contract after 2025. Player option for $15 million. So what's that, $1 million less than Alex Cobb?
Oh, God.
So, I wouldn't say no. My personal strategy in any sport, I don't know what Royals management wants to do. I'm not trading in division, a top-of-the-line pitcher that I'll have to see next year. But I don't know, maybe Kansas City, like they want to deal him to another small market team and not the Mets, the Dodgers, the Phillies, the Yankees. I know Detroit's not a small market, but you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's going to happen. I'll gladly welcome him here, though.
Yeah, don't want to trade him to another, or they want to trade him to another Midwest team that nobody wants to go to, like Cleveland or Detroit instead of Miami and Nashville, like Sophie said. Just taking shots at the goddamn city of Detroit.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah,
show
terrible.
less awareness of your sport and its history.
Yeah, honestly. And I was a fan before she said that. That was terrible for her.
She just wants to go to Miami and break up more marriages.
Exactly. Pow pow from Broder.
Yeah. I actually saw it
What else you got?
When Miami Heat were in the NBA Finals and like the whole first quarter, no one was there.
Yep.
Because they're just strolling in the second quarter. Like,
Yeah.
You want a real sports town? You come to Detroit.
Exactly. A real sports town that's passionate, like you saw on Sunday Night Baseball.
Bro.
When the city of Detroit shined its brightest, and they fed off of a starting pitcher in Tarek Skubal. Tarek Skubal, Sunday Night Baseball. Just quick thoughts on that, because being in Comerica Park, that was a crazy playoff atmosphere.
I want to hear more about that. Quick 2 cents, and I want you to take the most of this because you were in that stadium.
Yep.
To see not only Tarek Skubal perform how he did on Sunday Night Baseball on national television, but for it also to be Comerica Park and Tigers versus Twins, to have a game like that be on Sunday Night Baseball and perform the way it did. I say perform viewership. It was, if not the highest, one of the highest or most viewed games of the season for Sunday Night Baseball. Picture perfect night for the Tigers, for baseball in general. What was it like in that stadium, though, in that park? Getting
to Comerica that day, you felt a buzz.
Yeah.
You truly did. On the field, you felt a buzz. You started seeing the ESPN cameras come through. You saw a Buster Olney strolling by. You saw
they need to let him wear a polo and not have a full jacket on.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, he's probably
95.
sweating. Yeah, he's probably sweating down there.
Someone to tailor it.
Got to see not a fan of Detroit, former used to be here, Rob Parker, who doubled down on his Cy Young take. He had a first-class experience. I got to call him out in the press box, which was extremely nice. After I interviewed him on the field, actually got to ask him in the press box, obviously not like the crazy press box, but the one like just off to the side.
Right.
Got to ask him, hey, feeling any different about that AL Cy Young after that performance?
He said no, didn't he?
He said it's still Max Fried. He's like, it's Max Fried. Yeah, whatever. Not gonna get into him, but got to talk to Kerry Carpenter. He's all smiles before the game. He was feeling great. Should have hit on this earlier. To the IL, Kerry Carpenter, sadly, because he was seeing the ball great. 3 home runs in his last 5 games. Before that, take your time getting back. This team's going to be just fine until you do. We need you for the playoffs. Got to talk to Byron Buxton on matching up with Tarek Skubal. He said, it's just like compete. It's got to come out to you. He does get a little something extra going facing the division rival Detroit Tigers, and you can tell because that guy shows up.
I love that you got that interview before that game, because from the first pitch you could see the interaction between Skubal and Buxton, the respect that they have for each other. Buxton almost got a hold of that first one, I think, that Riley caught, or Kerry Carpenter. Whoever was in left field caught it at the warning track. But to see 2 guys like that go at it reminded me of Skubal and Salvador Perez last year. There's just a level of respect that the best players for the other teams now have for a guy. He's 28, but he's a young up and coming star in this league.
Yep, 100% agree with you. That was so cool. Shout out Byron Buxton for talking.
Yeah,
honestly.
Great dude.
Like, he was taking the field. I was like, hey, Byron, quick word on the matchup. He was awesome. Couldn't have been nicer. Another guy I talked to was Jahmai Jones, and he talked about the family atmosphere of this team and why they are so confident going into each game. It's because their manager, they know it's just win today. That is their number one goal, no matter what. They're not looking ahead like me and you are about a World Series already. That is not how they look at the season at all. Just like they did today when they beat the Nationals 11-2. They are 100% looking at every single day. This team rides for each other. Jahmai Jones, great interview, or great person. Great time for that. It was super nice to talk to him. But before we get out of there, because I love Sunday Night Baseball, they're already bringing the Tigers back. This time it's in Texas, I believe the Sunday after the All-Star break. So they couldn't get enough of the Tigers. They already flexed them again to Sunday Night Baseball. And before we get out of here, I'm going to hit you with a quick rapid fire of 4th of July.
Wow.
Little questions for you. All right, you ready?
This is off the dome.
Off the dome. This is not rehearsed at all. If you're on the aux, are you playing country, rock, or are you going hip-hop?
Oh, wow. In the locker room?
No, at a cookout. 4th of July. Wow. You're at a party.
I'm a cookout for me is happening in the summer or the spring, and I'm playing country.
All right, I dig it. I'm
What
right
about
there
you?
with. I'm right there with you. I
Okay.
think the summer, 4th of July. I do think country. All right. Do you call it cornhole or bago?
Cornhole.
100%. Same here. Would you rather play in a day game or a night game?
Night game.
Hot dog or burger?
Hot dog.
How
Glizzy.
do you dress it?
Onion, mustard, maybe some relish. No ketchup. I should have led with the no ketchup.
I'm right there with you on the
Glizzy,
mustard and
glizzy.
onion. All right. You're on a boat. Would you rather crack a beer or a seltzer?
Oh, beer. Give me an ice cold
Yeah.
Martina Navratilbrewski.
You gotta have the cooler loaded up with a lot of ice then if
Mm-hmm.
you're on a boat stranded. Because I would probably go seltzer there because it's hard to keep that beer ice cold all day long.
Yeah.
Favorite ballpark not named Comerica?
Wow. I've never been there for a game. I've been there with no one in the park. Pittsburgh. Is it PNC Park.
Gotcha.
Stunning.
Yeah, I like PNC. I was gonna go with the Giants Park.
Oh yeah.
Love it with the
McCovey
the
Cove.
lake.
It's
Yep,
unique.
It's
Yeah.
extremely unique, and I also like the history of Fenway.
Yeah.
I like going there and winning, especially after what happened in 20.
I don't want to watch a game from on
was.
top of the Green Monster. That's on the bucket list.
Yeah, that'd be great. Any game day superstitions?
That I used to have?
Yes.
Or watching
that
the Tigers?
you used to have personally. Lefty pitcher for the University of Michigan. For those that don't know.
Yeah, I would try to do everything like my routine, try to be exactly the same. No matter the temperature, I would always wear sleeves, and I'd always roll them up to 3/4. Like there was just some mental thing in my head that I had to wear sleeves. I thought it kept my body warmer. I started in high school. Could be 100 degrees. I'm wearing sleeves.
Well, it absolutely worked because you made it to the University of Michigan to
thank
pitch.
you.
So
thank you.
I dig that one. All right, so this one's little bit of a
Facts.
Detroit Tigers
He hit a
edition.
bomb the other day.
Detroit Tigers edition.
Yes.
You're handing the auxiliary cord to somebody on the Detroit Tigers. Who do you trust
Who do I trust?
at the cookout to play a banger?
Oh, wow. I'm going to trust Javi Baez.
Love that
Yeah.
answer. I was going to go with Rodgers because I think he would have gotten country
Yeah.
like we just talked
Yeah.
about.
He's
I
gonna
like the
have
Javier Baez one, though. And then who are you putting on the grill?
Oh.
A packed, loaded grill.
Scooble.
Right there with
Scooble.
you. Right there with you.
No, he's got the sauce. Flip those burgers, baby.
I was going to say Hoss tendencies. You know that dude eats, and I'm sure he would not want to mess anything up.
Yeah, he's
Dude's
flipping them with his
dude's a
left
monster.
hand. Yeah. You
No
know
way.
he's had a couple burgers in his day.
Oh, yeah. Burgers, dogs, probably a bunch of barbecue. Yeah, I would trust Scuba on the grill as well. And that was the 4th of July special edition of Woodward Tigers, best team in baseball. Make sure you guys comment down below if there's anybody specifically that you want for the Detroit Tigers to go add to this team. And if you trust Zach McKinstry to be your third baseman in a World Series, or do you trust Casey Mize to be your number 2 pitcher? Is Jack Flaherty going to step it back up? Should the Tigers go out and get in-division rival Seth Lugo from the Kansas City Royals? Lot to talk about. Broder, any plans for the holiday?
No, I'm just going to be hanging on a boat, hopefully on a lake. Hopefully a Teddy Bruschi in my hand.
Amen to that. That is Woodward Tigers.